Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Messaging Edit podcast. I'm so excited for today because this is not going to be a solo episode. I've got the most amazing guest today that I discovered just a couple of weeks ago, and I've just been going down the rabbit hole with all her work. I'm currently reading her book, so it's kind of blowing my mind that I can interview the author right now. But today I have Cassie Mendoza-Jones. She is the best-selling author of three books, You Are Enough, It's All Good, and Aligned and Unstoppable, which is what I'm currently reading. She is a kinesiologist, NLP practitioner, business alignment coach, podcast host, writer, speaker, everything. She is a wonderful mom and an incredible coach. Her work supports driven, devoted entrepreneurs, healers, coaches, creatives, corporate leaders, and humans just doing big, beautiful work to align more powerfully with their bigger vision, reprogram their beliefs for success, clear away blocks and self doubts, and create more of what they really want in their business, career, and life. So, needless to say, she is the perfect person to guide us. So, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you, Cassie.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad that the universe got our paths intertwined so that we could be meeting and having this conversation.
It's so funny because when I was reading sort of the testimonials on your website, everyone's like, yeah, I feel like the universe guided me to Cassie. Like Cassie was sent to my path, so I feel like this is gonna be one of them. I'm so
Yeah.
excited because like we could talk about everything here, but I want to start with this word that I've been literally practicing all morning, kinesiology. It's like, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
kinesiology. Perfect.
Perfect. So
Yes.
let's start there because I've never really come across this term and this modality in the coaching world. And I've gone through a lot of modalities already. So I'm really excited to hear about this. You blend kinesiology with coaching. And I'm really curious to know, how does that play a part? How does that help your clients with clearing their blocks, moving their business forward, and all the beautiful stuff that you do?
So it depends on where you are in the world, the meaning of the word kinesiology. In the States, it has more of a physical body. It's more like body work, kind of like chiropractic work and like sports science, sports medicine. In like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, England, kinesiology is used. It's muscle testing to find subconscious blocks in the body. So you use the body to find subconscious blocks, and then you use the body to find the remedy. What does the body need in order to shift and clear and heal and release that block? And then what does the body need to integrate that? What does the body need to like keep you moving forward? So the way I use kinesiology is that, and I'll backtrack a little bit. So when I started my business, I started as a nutritionist, naturopath, and herbalist. And I loved that work so, so much. And then what I would find is that I would tell my clients what to do and I'd give them all the beautiful herbs. But if they were feeling a block, they might come back after 2 weeks and I'd say, how are you feeling? Did you finish your herbs? Knowing that I'd given them 2 weeks of herbs. And they come back, they're like, no, the bottle's still half full. So I'm like, well, no, the bottle's only half full because you only had half the herbs. So if there's a block to moving forward, even though on some level you might really want the growth and the expansion and the alignment and the next step, if you are feeling unconsciously, and I will intertwine or like interchange the words subconscious and unconscious. So if anyone's picking up on that, NLP and kinesiology use it slightly differently, and also an NLP practitioner, so I just use them both. But if we're feeling unconsciously blocked towards something, it doesn't matter how hard we work, we will keep either creating challenges or finding challenges or looking for challenges and then kind of spinning and spiraling and not getting more of what we want. And from an NLP perspective, which I'll also explain is neuro-linguistic programming. So it's very much about looking at how we can reprogram our minds and our thoughts and our beliefs, and also the language that we use to prime ourselves to create more success. From an NLP perspective, we're always either moving towards pleasure or away from pain, but they have different energies. So if I like had, I don't know, a flame behind you and I'm making you run because you're like, I don't want my hair on fire, that's a very different energy, right? You running away from fire. Then if I'm like, I have a whole pizza and a bottle of wine, like I'm going to count to 10, how quickly can you get here? That energy is like, you can feel straight away running away from fire, running towards pizza and wine. So I want my clients to be like running towards pizza and wine or whatever the thing is that would make you want to rush towards it in your business, in your life, in your career. And so the reason I shifted into kinesiology is because I was like, I want to help my clients, but not just on the physical level. I want them to feel clear. I want them to feel like they have less blocks. I don't want them to think they're getting in their own way. Like, I truly believe we are never getting in our own way. I believe that what feels like it's the block is actually what shifts into the flow and becomes the flow. And that's an old like Stoicism principle of the obstacle becomes the way. So what feels like the block becomes the flow. So I use kinesiology with my clients to be like, oh, so that, I don't know, let's say like from a perspective from me, I just created in the last year my YouTube channel. And if someone wants to do something, but they feel a block, I'm like, oh, so that podcast that you want to launch that you're not launching, hey, why? And they'll come up with all the reasons consciously. And I will muscle test as they're speaking, like, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. And it's really healing to be like, oh, my monkey mind is not actually the thing that's stopping me from doing the thing I want to do. And I'll muscle test and we'll find the exact, I don't know, either like this, the time in their life when something happened and someone said something that stopped them from starting their podcast channel or their YouTube channel. We'll find the emotion that's trapped in their body, where it is. What does their body need in order to shift that emotion? What does their body need so they can feel so clear, so aligned, so open and expanded in relation to doing, launching the podcast or creating the YouTube channel. And it means that then once we've cleared that energetically, and then also like somatically, mentally, emotionally, physically, you everything falls into place. You're like, oh wait, that's the name of the podcast and that's the graphic, and I'm just gonna record. I recorded 10 episodes yesterday, Cass, and I'm launching it next week. And you're not like trying to push, like one of my examples that often comes to me is like trying to push water uphill with a sieve. You're not working so hard. You actually get to sit back and receive ideas and energy and move forward without like that gripping, forcing stress. So that's a really like overview of why I work with kinesiology. And then the simple way of doing it is that it's muscle testing. But because I've been doing it now for over a decade, I actually rarely have to muscle test. It drops in as an intuitive nudge or a vision. Like it will kind of drop in for me in terms of what the client needs. And then I will confirm often with muscle testing, but often it will just drop in.
I I love that. And I think that is so crazy because you are right in the sense where, especially for overachievers, ambitious thinkers, people who have invested a lot in themselves and they know all the possible reasons as to why they're not doing something. So every day they wake up, it's like, is it a fear of success? Is it a fear of failure? And they're spending even more time trying to identify the block and possibly identifying the wrong one than it
Yes.
is taking action. So what I'm hearing is that you can literally muscle test or have that as an intuitive download and identify the exact block. And that would be incredible because then you stop spiraling and thinking like, okay, what is actually the problem here? And
Yeah.
I totally get it when you said um, you know, go like pushing water uphill the sleeve. What came up for me is like whenever I operate on flow state, when I live life, like my entire life is like a flow state kind of state of mind as opposed to just like an hour of deep work flow state. Like opportunities expand like crazy, like opportunities drop in like crazy. And I just freaking love that. And I definitely want to talk more about that. But one story you told in one of your master classes that I love. Like I never really understood the concept of clearing energy or not necessarily believe or is able to conceptualize it until I actually listened to this masterclass and it blew my mind. I think you know which one I'm talking about. It is the
Yes.
one in the masterclass where you showed up and no one was around. I would love for you to share that story because I feel like it's going to be so transformational for my audience to hear how muscle testing and like clearing blocks actually comes into play in real life.
Amazing. So I've had I'm going to say a history. So this is also, I'm NLPing myself. In the past, this has
Yeah.
been true so that I don't move this into my future, where in the past I've had experiences whereby when I'm moving into a big visibility leap, it could be a massive launch where I've done like deep. I mean, I'm always doing deep work prior to launch. It's like, it brings up all your stuff. But when I'm in a phase of getting visible for a specific reason, a launch, a new offer, or something's happening where my visibility is like peaking. I've had experiences in the past where my tech glitches, which is for me an up level. I'm not going to say block, But that energy of like, oh, let's just check. Like, how committed are you to being seen in this new light? How committed are you to being seen with this new pivot or this new expansion? And it's happened like, I launch a brand new website and the next day my new site crashes. And I'm like, what? Like, that did not need to happen, right?
Yeah.
And the tech is fine, but the energetics that are holding the tech are like, hold on, we need to like create new standards here. And so I will always clear the energy myself, but also like the energy in my field, the energy of my business. I connect with the energy of my business all the time to create new offers, to receive downloads. Same with my books. And so what happened was I ran this workshop last year and it was the enoughness workshop, right? I think that
Yeah.
was the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I ran this workshop and I had just moved into this whole new level and like expansion and connection and coherence in my work. So I was feeling absolutely on fire with what I was about to teach. And I sent out the Zoom link from my Zoom that I've had since 2014. Like, same, I just used the personal meeting link, like, I didn't create a new class. And I send it out. I had so many amazing clients sign up. I show up at, 5 to 10, and usually there's already clients in the room. There's no one there. And I'm like, no worries, they're coming. 10 a.m. There's no one there. And I'm like, okay, they're coming. So I've been running my business since 2011. I've never ever had no one arrive. Or if you flip that again, NLP, I always have clients show up. So after it's 10:01, 10:02, 10:05, and I'm like, what is happening? And I started to spin for a minute. I'm like, maybe, and all the thoughts come up, even though I have no evidence of that ever happening before. I started to spin. I was like checking things, checking my email. I checked Instagram. I even checked WhatsApp because some of my clients will WhatsApp me if we're in private, private programs together in my mastermind. Nothing. It was like I was in like a glass box and nothing was getting into me, into my energy or my field. So after a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I teach my clients, which is show up anyway, record it anyway. If I record this incredible workshop and I prepped and primed, I was ready to go, ready to roll, and I release it anyway, it doesn't matter that there was no one there live. Like, yes, my energy was primed to respond to my clients on the call, but I can adjust and adapt. I'm powerful enough to do that quickly without needing to prep. So I started to just run the workshop as if it was not meant to have been a live interactive one. And then I paused and I was like, wait, I think this is the universe being like, how committed are you to this next level of alignment and congruency and coherence and expansion and visibility? So I was like, oh, it's happening again. So I did a clearing. And there's so many ways that I clear my energy and the energy of in my field, my business, the energy of Zoom, the energy of like visibility. And so sometimes I'll do tapping, which we decided we'll do later on in today's episode. I've created my own deck of energy balancing cards. So I pulled a card. I can't remember which card came up. And then I have all different processes, NLP processes, all things to do. But I think I've also did a lot of tapping on that. The second I cleared the energy, emails started to come in that had not come in before. Like, what? 6 or 7 emails from clients starting at 10 a.m. Cass, I can't get in the room. Then I got a DM. Why did the DM not appear before? I'm not joking. It's like that glass box had been smashed. Everything flowed into my field. I also, in that interim, had decided right before I did the clearing to just send the Zoom link out to my entire newsletter list and not just the clients who'd registered. And I was honest. I was like, hey, I'm on a call and no one arrived, but you are invited. So I'm going to be on this call. Like, I just didn't hide it. I was like, I don't need to be, I'm just going to tell you. Like, I'm just going to tell you the truth. So then what happened is, so I cleared the energy. I got all these emails. I could resend the link. I do not know what happened. The link had not worked, but it had been just a complete copy paste from Zoom into the invitation. So long story short is that I ended up getting some clients had waited the 30 minutes. They waited 30 or 35 minutes to join the call. Some couldn't wait and they were like, don't worry, I'll catch the replay. But because I'd thought bigger, like I'm not going to just send it to the clients who registered. I'm going to just send to my entire list. I think I even put it on Instagram. I ended up getting clients who hadn't even registered. And they were like, this is the perfect timing. I can't believe I missed the first invitation. This was so perfect. And I ran the most powerful workshop because I decided to keep showing up. I could have just shut the call at 10 past. I decided to keep showing up. I decided to run it anyway. I took my own advice that I give my clients all the time. Just show up for one client, show up for zero clients. Just do the work. It's all going to compound. It's all going to have a ripple effect that you can't see right now. I cleared my energy and I thought bigger. I was like, I don't need to send this just to like I can't remember how many people signed up, but I'm going to send it to thousands of people. I'm just going to send it to everyone. And then I opened the field and everyone came in and it's was such a powerful workshop. I even had clients the next day email me, two clients the next day who immediately just signed clients into their offers and programs from that workshop within 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and all because I was like, you know what? No one's here. But I'm here. And I'm the one who has the key to this room. I'm opening the door, I'm turning the lights on, I'm gonna pop the kettle on, and people will come because I've showed up.
That is such a powerful story. Every time I hear it, I get goosebumps because it's actually crazy how, on an energetic level, it's just such a clear evidence that energy is a thing, right? Like the
Yeah.
blocks are there, and the minute you clear it, it's amazing how much can flow into your world. Or even if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure I can get behind the energetic things. I feel like another way you can look at it is like when you hold your business in a chokehold, when you're just like obsessed over like tunnel vision on what's not working, you'll be missing so many opportunities around you. And this is what came up for me when I listened to this story the first time. I was like, I've been so obsessed with like getting clients off of Instagram stories alone, and not realizing that there is like 1,000 other different ways that they can flow through me, like referrals, threads, whatever it is. It's just my posts in general. And I feel like this is something that so many of my audience would need to hear. And one thing I really love about what you just said earlier, it's the whole idea of like you being super transparent to your list, saying that like, hey, I have this thing and no one's showing up, so I'm gonna open it up to you. And I know you talk a lot about this in your masterclass and your different works, the idea of sufficiency,
Mhm.
not needing to prove yourself. I would love to hear you talk more about that because I do think that is definitely a major, major block that keeps so many business owners stuck.
Mm. So I just think so many of us we're all going through it in our own ways. We're all going through variations of am I enough? Am I doing this right?
Mm.
Comparison sometimes like it's my first book, You Are Enough, is all about comparison and then coming back to your power and coming back to your worth and coming back to self-trust and self-confidence. And so I know how much I value when people tell me what's going on, like tell the I'm gonna say tell the truth and just be like and like behind the scenes of how they run their businesses absolutely astounds me. And I think what's so beautiful is to not just share the success stories of like I did a podcast episode last year, I think. One episode, maybe 2 years ago, was on my $40,000 launch, and the next episode was my $0 launch. Like legit. I had two very different launches in the same year.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm just going to share this because I want to share this with you. Because if I'm feeling this and if I've gone through this, then you have felt this, or you have gone through this, or you might go through this. And how beautiful to know that you're not alone in that experience. And I think the thing is that when I started my work as a nutritionist, I had a lot of insecurities that I'm not thin enough, I'm not fit enough, I don't eat kale smoothies for breakfast. Like, are people going to trust me? Will they value my expertise? Will they believe that I can support them? And I realized that very quite quickly, no one wants a perfect, in air quotes, nutritionist. No one wants a perfect coach. You're unrelatable if you only ever have, and no one ever only has successes. So then you're unrelatable if all you ever show is the success because there's no, like, we learn so much when things don't go to plan. We expand our capacity to receive, not just when things are good, but when things are hard. And we have to look to receive what's here and open ourselves up to like hold the paradox. I think so much about business and life is holding the both and. So it's being able to say, I felt really uncomfortable when no one showed up to my Zoom call to a workshop that I was so excited about. And there's a deeper meaning, there's a lesson, and more people can always flow to me. And there's something in that. So, in me showing up, I become even more of an embodiment of my work. And that's not something that my clients would just feel. Like they would feel that if I didn't express it. But I'm also a writer at heart. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to write that out for you because then I process it, I integrate, I heal any part that needed to be healed in that experience. And then I can say to you, and hey, that happens to you too. Here's what I did, and here's what you maybe would like to do too. And it helps my clients even more deeply than if I just said, just got off Zoom, ran the best workshop. Yeah, but also almost no one came and I nearly quit the Zoom call, but I stayed. And this is what happened. It's so much more powerful for people when they're like, oh, wait, look what Cass just did. I can do that. And then like they keep passing that on to the people who are in their field.
I know that is so powerful because one thing I always tell my audience and I tell my clients is that everything that happens to you is either an opportunity where you get like money immediately or like all the, credentials and everything,
Yeah.
or it's an opportunity for deeper embodiment. And that is a I guess that is a teaching that not many people like
Mm,
because it is true, right? Like every single time you show up, it's either an embodiment in terms of like you winning or an embodiment in terms of like you showing your audience what you have gone through. And that, in my opinion, and this is why I always tell my clients to share their stories, is because when you can show people what you've gone through, not just like the nice bits, but especially the like the icky, dark shadow bits, that actually builds so much more trust in you and builds your authority so much more. Because
mm,
personally, when I look for a coach, I make sure that she has gone through something, like not on purpose, but like she understands the shadow that I have, and she's able to hold space for me because she went through it herself. Because, like you said, no one wants to hire Little Miss Perfect. They might aspire to and be like, okay, she's my vision board coach. But it is quite uncomfortable for somebody to be in the presence of someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm perfect all the time. Like, why aren't you perfect?
yes.
So that is such a
100%.
powerful lesson to learn here. As I'm saying this, what's coming up for me is that it's, I guess for some people, they might think that it is easier for us to talk about that now because we have gone through it and we've come out on the other end. And I know when I was navigating that actual period where I have to like deepen into my embodiment and deepen into so much trust and faith and like honing my skill and trusting that everything is compounding, like you said, I would struggle to let this wisdom in. So I'm curious to know, especially when my nervous system was all triggered and everything. So I'm curious to know for the people who are navigating the messy middle, the ones who feel like everything is stagnant, nothing is working, everything they do is not going anywhere, they're holding their business in a chokehold. How do you support your clients through that phase? Because I know it's a really common phase.
It's so common. It's so common and it's so necessary. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, no, what? Don't say that. But there are a few things I love to do. Apart from doing beautiful balances with my clients, just to like bring them into a bit more ease and calm, like in their body. There are a few things that I do so personally and with my clients. What I love to remember is if you're making like a really beautiful soup or stew, the longer you leave it, the
Mm,
better it is. The longer you like, even when I make like bolognese, right, for my kids, it's not ready after 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like, could you eat it? Like, is the meat cooked? Yeah. Is it going to taste good? No. Is it ready-ish? Is it better if I leave it
yeah.
20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? Like the longer you leave it just simmering without stressing, without being like, is this going to be right? Is this going to taste good? And you just trust the process, the better it is. And the thing is that I always say to my clients, you've done this before and you can do this again. You've already been through uncertainty. I don't care where it's been in your life. That's the thing about kinesiology and NLP. A lot of situations and experiences get mirrored and reflected back to us. It doesn't mean you have to have been in that exact same situation to have proof that you can make it through. I'm saying, yeah, in year three, when you like tried out for singing and you had to wait 2 weeks to find out, that was uncertainty. But were you okay? Could you do that? And we can like mirror emotions and experiences from their past to help them feel calmer and have more peace in the moment, like in this moment. So I'll often say to them, I'll talk about that. Like the stew, I'll talk about the fertile void, which is a Jungian theory of when it feels like nothing's happening, so much is happening under the surface. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's next. There's a lot of shame often. What am I doing wrong? What did I not do enough of? A lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda. I could have done this. I should have done this. If I had done that, then this would have happened. It's a lot of, hindsight is 2020, self-reflecting, but on the past with a lot of self-shaming, which does
Hmm.
not help us move forward.
Hmm.
And then we like shame ourselves for shaming ourselves, and it just gets really icky. And so there's so much to be said for finding what you can connect with that is like, wait, what am I connecting with that I've done before that I'm doing again now? I've already lived through uncertainty. And I've already lived through there are times in my business where I can look back and say, and this is personally and with clients, you didn't know how that was going to work out. And what did you do? What were you thinking about yourself to create the new result? What were you releasing? Who were you not only becoming, but who were you leaving behind within yourself to step into the new version? And how deeply could you trust that you were always guided, supported, and on the right path, even before evidence appeared? So we will often look backwards to look forwards, but it's looking for the right kind of evidence.
Yeah.
It's trusting that even though things might not feel solid yet, that you've set these beautiful intentions, that you've made space. And there's a beautiful book rather called The Possibility Principle by Mel Schwartz. And he talks about it's all like quantum physics. And he talks about how, like, one of his quotes that I love is I'm probably paraphrasing this because it's been a while since I've read it, but when everything basically when things are uncertain, everything is still possible.
Yeah. I love
So if
that.
I said to you like next week, let's go on a holiday, and you're like, yes, but we haven't decided where. There's so much uncertainty there. Where are we going, Cass? What do you mean a holiday? How long is the holiday? Is it 3 days? Is it 3 weeks? Are we getting like a plane? Are we going to get a boat? Every option is still available because nothing has been like decided yet. And what is so beautiful is to stay in the trust that actually uncertainty is where we manifest the most. And then my favorite ingredient is just like, okay, two pieces. Where might you need to not be working so hard right now? Like, because I find often when there's a bit of a fallow period in business, it's because there's going to be a big rush coming in. Like there's that contraction before the next expansion. So I always say to my clients, hey, what would it feel like to work less hard right now? To like go lie on the couch for a bit, go to Pilates at midday, make plans with a friend for lunch, enjoy this space because it's not going to last. Nature abhors a vacuum, something's going to rush in to fill it. And then I ask them to just find the joy. What would feel like so much joy to you right now? Because joy is a magnet. And we didn't start our businesses to hate them. So, like, let's just create more joy and lightness and also some rest. Trust that everything is working out for you. Know that you've done this before, you can do this again. Look for evidence that there have been times where things weren't clear and then they became clear. And just trust like there will be a moment where you still have to often sit down in your desk and get to work.
Yeah.
But there'll be a time when you're like, oh, wait, things are now flowing. I can get back into that flow. And now I'm doing it from flow, not from force.
I honestly, two things there that caught my attention because I just think it's so powerful when you said that quote around the unknown is a space. Like this is one of my favorite phrases as well. It's like the unknown can be a really scary space, but it's also a space for infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
And depending on how you choose to show up today, you could attract both. Because, like you said, joy is a magnet for infinite possibility. Holding your business in a chokehold, gripping it, it can be a magnet for all the scary stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just thinking more about it, you're just ruminating more, and it just goes on forever. And so, one question I always ask myself whenever I'm feeling down, it's kind of like, okay, how can I deepen into embodiments? Like, how does this moment makes me make me a perfect person for my dream clients, right? Is it because that I'm feeling anxious today and I can hold myself through it, and therefore I can hold my clients through it? And just looking for all these evidence that what you've experienced today is shaping you for a greater good. And I love that like bolognese analogy you gave just now, because I'm a cooking is my passion. And so
Yes.
that is like, when you said letting it develop the flavor, letting it simmer a little bit, letting it deepen. And this is what I always tell my audience. And this is definitely not the sexiest marketing I can put out there, because everyone's like, just buy this course and you can get six figure in 6 months. But I'm always like, no, actually, let's go deeper, because whatever you're experiencing right now, it is the deepening process. And this is what allows you to show up with so much more depth to your brand, as opposed to just the surface level wins. You're actually like developing this like multifaceted layer beneath you. And that is what actually sets you apart, because you are a well-formed human being as opposed to just someone who makes money really quickly. So
Yeah.
that is so freaking powerful. And I feel like this is exactly what someone needs to hear. When you're in a void, stay in there. It's a good place. I promise.
Yeah.
I know it's scary, but it's gonna rush in. Like you said, nature holds a vacuum. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna rush in. And from my experience, that has exactly been the case. I love that. So another question that I had listed down for you, and this is one thing I know you talk about a lot. It's the whole idea around worthiness and trusting they're enough, the enoughness, sufficiency, etc. When it comes to your clients and them feeling good about their offer and their pricing and whether they're good enough as a coach, as a creative, as a healer, what are the most common limiting beliefs you see that are holding them back from being fully out there and claiming, like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do and I deserve this price and I'm commanding?
Yeah. So it's so often a variation of just am I enough? Am I enough? Is my offer enough? Is my price, is my offer enough for the price? Am I giving enough support? Am I giving enough value? Did I say it the right way?
Yeah,
It's self-doubt and it's self-doubt and this like again, that's the paradox, and this deep desire to give their clients like the most incredible support, value, experience, transformation. And so I have a few really like the way I create my offers and pricing and the way I help my clients do it. I'm like, and I can do this with a client in like 5 minutes. If a client comes in like, I've been spiraling on my offer for like 6 months, I'm like, okay, good. Do you have 5 minutes? Let's just do it right now.
yeah.
And I'll get them to close their eyes. We do any kind of little, not even little, sometimes like a big clearing just to get their body and their energy, like all parts of them just receptive to what's here. We connect with the energy of, and they can choose here, like the energy of their business or the energy of their offer. And I'll say to them, and this is also important, like if a client has multiple offers that they want to work on at the same time, my favorite thing to do, and if you're listening to this and you have lots of offers, you can do it now. You close your eyes down, you invite all your offers to like come into your field, into your space, and then you say, okay, can you please line up in order of importance? Like line up with the one that needs to come through me first, being closest to me, and it will do it almost immediately. They'll just go zoop.
I love
And
that.
then you just don't have to think about it. Like, is it this one or this one? Is it the podcast or the new program? Is it the book or the course? It's just like they'll just tell you. And so a variation of that is you say to the offer, tell me about you. And it might be like, oh, I'm 3 months and I'm a fortnightly coaching and I'm this and I'm that and this is who I'm for. And then the price, I'll say to the client, and the price will land for me in my body often as it's landing for the client or just before. So I'll say to them, and then what's the price? What's the price that is like, I'm not going to say completely neutral in your field. Like you're allowed to have some spark and a good kind of charge around it, but you don't want to feel stressed. So I'll say to my clients, can you get to a place within you where when you communicate your price to a client, it's the way you would order like a soy latte? Hey, I just want a soy latte, please. Hey, it's 1:39 p.m. You want to be able to be like, and look, maybe not as neutral as like the time, but the soy latte, like I get excited when I order my coffee. You want to feel an excitement, but not a stress,
Yeah.
right? And you don't want to feel resentment. You don't want to feel fear. You don't want to feel like a huge amount of contraction every time. A little bit sometimes is okay. You're human. If you feel like you've got to constantly hold yourself and like constantly self-coach to keep yourself at your price, then we either change the price or we work to change your thoughts about the price. Because sometimes a client will come to me and they want to hold a bigger price, but their nervous system and their self-concept is not yet completely ready to. So I will say to them, this sounds contradictory to a lot of advice out there. I'll say, great, let's just lower the price for a short term. Let's get you so confident at that price. Let's work on your beliefs when you're not in crisis mode and your self-concept. When you feel so good about yourself where you are, you will naturally feel a resentment to the lower price. And
Yeah.
it will feel easier to rise into a new price, as opposed to putting yourself under massive stress and then coaching yourself to like a price when you're in a nervous system and like self-concept panic. That's so much more energy. And like, ask me how I know. That's so much more energy than just being like, you know what? No ego here. I'm going to drop the price until I feel so good that that price actually makes me feel resentment because it's because my skills and my self-concept have expanded past the energetics of that price for that container. So when a client comes to me and they are feeling not enough, I won't start, I don't usually start with changing the offer unless there is something that, as I said, is like so feels like a burning problem for them. Like I will work with their energy and their emotions and their beliefs around themselves. And then usually there will be something that drops in where they want to shift something in their offer to create more clarity and more alignment. And I always will say to my clients, like, you are so valuable even on your hardest day, even when you're in a bad mood. You can make sales when you're grumpy. You can sign clients when you're PMSing. You can be, like having the worst day and still run the best call because your value never wavers, even if your thoughts about your value does. And I ran a program several years ago called Show Up and Vibe. And it was when I was going through like quite a tumultuous time in my personal life, but my business was absolutely flourishing. And I was like, how am I able to do this? How am I doing this? And then I put that into this course of yeah, you don't need to be perfect. Did you know? Did you know you don't need to be perfect to like have a beautiful business? Did you know you can like have dirty hair and still run an amazing live call on Zoom? Like, did you know that you can be so yourself and your client, your real people will rush in to your business?
That is honestly one of the most important conversations that I've been bringing into my world lately around high vibe, right? The whole concept of high vibe, because a lot of people do feel the pressure of being high vibe, even though intellectually they know that you don't need to be high vibe to make sales. But the more I feel like the more stories you hear, the more obviously it reinforces in your pathway and understanding that you don't actually need to be high vibe. And I love what you said earlier around how your value never wavers, even if the thoughts around the value you hold waver. And this is a conversation I had with my client recently, which I thought was really one that I need to bring to the surface, because she said, I've had testimonials in the past. My clients have won big in the past, but I don't think I can share it now because it's not happening right now, right? And
Mm.
I'm like, well, your skill doesn't disappear. In fact, it might actually have developed into an even better. You might have become a better coach in that time in between. So the fact that women are still like they're still struggling to claim their full power is
Mm.
actually, I don't know, I just feel like this conversation is just super important right now.
Yeah, and do you know what I love to remind my clients? The term imposter syndrome gets thrown around so much in our space, right? Like
Yeah.
we can feel like I'm an imposter and should I be here and am I even good enough? And I read somewhere and I wish I remembered where I had seen this so I could quote them in this, but it was this idea of like, can we not pathologize the normal human emotion of self-doubt? Like, can we just say to ourselves, hey, I'm a human and sometimes I doubt myself, and what if I didn't make that a problem?
Mm,
And actually, it creates so much space to be like, wait, there's nothing wrong with me that I created a whole new thing or that I got off a call and just had the thought, was that good? Did I do a good job?
yeah.
What if I don't have to then like latch onto that self-coach? And like I say this with like, with love and lightness, but like journal 50 pages over it. What if I can be like, oh, my mind just had the thought, was that good enough? I'm not going to attach to that thought. And then what I love to do also, especially with clients who have had a lot of past stuff with not feeling enough, like really, really just not feeling enough, perfectionism, all of that. I will say to them, how would it feel if we didn't banish your perfectionism? If we didn't get you to a point where, so if we didn't like work to kind of completely clear the not enoughness, but we make the not enoughness really small, the part of you who questions and doubts, we make that part really small. And the part who trusts her enoughness, trusts her value, knows her worth, can write and create and like pitch and publish something without over editing. What if we made that part really, really, really big? So there's a little bit of doubt that might still come along on the ride, but they're not in the front seat and they're not running your thoughts and they're not running your programs. And my clients find it really helpful because sometimes we think I should have no doubt. And when I have zero
Yeah.
doubt about myself, then, but that's just another form of perfectionism.
Yeah, the all or nothing mindset.
Yeah.
That is so interesting because I definitely feel like I've held resentment when I was doing deep mindset work, investing in all these money mindset coaches and books and everything. And then I hear like a really successful business owner, um, especially in the offline world, just
Mm.
saying stuff with like the most horrendous money mindset. They're like, "Oh, that's so expensive. That's too expensive. I can't invest in this." And I'm like, "How are you rich? Like, I'm doing
Yeah.
all this work. How are you having like all these thoughts and you're still rich?" And it makes sense that it's because they're not pushing that emotional charge onto these thoughts.
Yeah. And then because what happens is then we make that we take it so personally, like, oh, there must be something in equity wrong, or like now I have to invest all my energy into clearing the doubt completely
Yeah.
100% instead of all that energy into expanding my confidence and doing the thing anyway. And confidence comes very much in the process and then afterwards. It's not always before.
Yeah. It's hardly
Very
ever
rarely, actually.
before.
Exactly. And what I love about, like, what I really honor in myself is that I can have resistance or feel nervous of the, like, not even nervous, not the right word, but like have an energy of like an anticipation or like, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know. And I can still very much sit down in my chair, do the work and release it and let it be 80% complete and public. And that's why I've been able to build my body of work so prolifically over the years because I'm like, I'm just going to do the thing and I'm going to publish the thing and I'm going to sell the thing. And it's always iterative and nothing, even on the internet, nothing is etched into stone. And even if it were, I'll buy a new rock. Like, I'm just going to keep iterating and evolving my work and compounding everything and growing and relearning and relaunching and writing more and sharing more. And it means that I keep growing and growing my business because I'm not scared to be scared of doing the work.
Mm, that is an important nuance. So you're not scared of being scared.
Hmm.
That is huge. And you are right in the sense where if you are scared of being scared, that's where you channel all your energy through, right? And I've definitely been there where I feel like the majority of the day is spent ruminating and then beating myself up over the ruminating and then needing to do this like 3 hour journal clearing session around it. And by the end of the day, I've got like pretty much nothing done.
Yeah.
That is huge. And I love what you said about even on the internet, nothing is etched in stone because one of my favorite comedian ever, Conan O'Brien, he said something that really stuck with me. He said that people tend to remember you for the good things you've done, which is, with his 50 years of experience and lots of like failures and everything, that is a big thing to say because so many of us are so afraid of being canceled just like that. And it is possible, like the internet can be a scary place, but you need to trust that there are so many people out there who genuinely are good people and they want to
Yeah.
support you and they allow you to make mistakes and they still love you anyway.
100%. And do you know what? As you say that, like I have no fear of being cancelled.
Wow.
Like if someone doesn't like me and they tell me they just like I would just block them. Like, and even if it were lots and lots, I'm sure I'd be very activated and
Oh
triggered, but
yeah.
it would never spell the end of anything for me. And that because there are 9 billion people on the planet
Yeah.
that someone else is going to love your work and come in. And I've seen people be cancelled, big people, and they dust themselves off, they pick themselves up. More of their right people come in, more of their wrong people leave and they stay, they evolve again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I know of one like big coach in the industry, and she was telling everyone about how she has a hate group. And I was like,
Oh,
that's actually crazy.
that's
That's
lovely.
yeah, with like a Facebook group of like thousands of people and they're hating her. And she is probably thriving more than
Yeah.
anything because you are right. Like with it's like a magnet, right? If you want to attract, you need to repel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Hmm, I
love that.
like that too. I've never heard of that, but that makes sense to me. And it
Yeah.
does, if more of your right people will always find you when you are being more of yourself.
Yes. 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 I think someone said like authenticity is the highest frequency of in the world. And I find that there's so much truth in that because yeah, honestly, just especially as a personal brand, my audience are all personal brand, being authentic is all you can be. But anyway, I could go on forever, but interest of time, I know you've been kind enough to offer a quick EFT tapping session for us.
Yes.
So I'm curious to know what topic did you come up with today? What are we tapping on?
I thought that we would just, I wanted to see how, like, even though I knew some of the questions, I was like, let's just see what came through. So and we said before we hit record, we're like, we both take notes. And then I ended up not writing anything. But what I'm going to do first is just pull a card from my Belief Balance deck,
Yeah.
which will give us a really nice starting point. Anyone watching on YouTube, obviously tap along with me. And if you're listening on the podcast, honestly, just tap wherever. Like, don't worry about it. If you know the sequence, we do the first 3 points be on like the karate point chop of the hand, karate chop point. Did I say that right? But honestly, just like you could tap just on your collarbone. You can tap with, but so I use two fingers. You can go bilateral, like both sides or just one. I usually just do one. Just trust your body and see what comes through. Let's pull a card and we'll just do a beautiful tapping. So, woo,
So I'm just gonna mute myself so we can hear you fully, and I'll be tapping along.
amazing.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to tell. Not this many usually fall out, but I love this. So I won't go deep, deep, deep into each card's like background because that would be a whole other like 10 or 15 minutes. But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just going to share with you how they fell out because I also love to see the story that the cards tell with how they fall out. So empathy fell out first by itself. And empathy is obviously like for our conversation, it's giving yourself permission to be you, to be seen, to share, to be imperfect, to be like, wait, I'm a human who has doubt. Maybe I don't need to make that a problem and I can still work with that. And also, I will just say it's in the earth and spleen energy. So, earth is grounding, holding, nourishing yin. Spleen is that joy and sweetness of life. And that's what I was saying. If you're in a period of like, what, like WTF, like, what is happening in my business? Give yourself empathy, calm and nourish yourself, and be like, okay, what would feel like joy today? What would joy do today? So that's the first thing. The second thing is five other cards fell out. Nourishing. So we're going to play with that. Worry. So we're going to work to release that. I'm going to just lay these out. Resourceful, which I love when it's like, especially when we're in a place of what am I doing next? What's coming? Who even am I? Like, who am I moving into? It's like, wait, you're so resourced to create and step into this next level and version of you. You're so resourced to integrate past versions of you into today, indecision, and then transformation. So, we're going to play with all of these energies in this tapping. Indecision, obviously, the flip of that is decision, clarity, decision making. It's in wood and gallbladder. It's new beginnings, it's growth, transformation, and then also wood energy transformation of like, I'm ready for whatever is next. So good. All right. So taking a deep breath in and out with me. As I said, if you're following on YouTube, just copy me. If you're following on the podcast, just tap wherever you are. Even though I've been in a period of just not knowing what's next, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though it's so uncomfortable to not know. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know how much I like uncertainty. It's safe for me to feel that discomfort because of how much I love and accept myself. Even though maybe I've not been so kind to myself about this lately, I'm ready to release that. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. all of these feelings that I've been holding so tightly, that chokehold energy, where I'm just gripping. The first remedy here is empathy. Empathy for myself, for everything I've been experiencing, holding, and not allowing myself to process. Because I wonder, now that I'm thinking about it, if I haven't let myself process it properly, because when I'm holding the emotion, I feel like I'm problem solving it. And I like problem solving. That's just like who I am. I'm a problem solver. But I also like to do that with my mind. And processing emotions happens in the body. So the first step to doing this is actually surrender, which the mind does not agree to initially. Because I want to know what's happening and I want to know it now. So I'm going to take a deep exhale and give myself so much empathy for that as well. And you know what I feel when I give myself empathy? I feel nourished. There's an energy of love and compassion that flows through me. I can feel the shift in my heart when I send myself compassion for wanting to know before the time is right. And maybe there's been a lot of worry lately, but I get to release that too. Because worry sits in the same energy as empathy, earth and spleen, grounding, holding, home, and joy. And my business is a place where I can feel at home, where my clients can feel at home, where my voice is at home, and where so much joy is available to me and everyone my business impacts. And so I'm going to step into this energy of resourcefulness. I'm so well resourced to move through this period. I'm so well resourced to sit down and do the work. I'm so well resourced to coach myself through this and ask for support when I need it. I'm so well resourced to sit in discomfort and uncertainty because uncertainty is where all of possibility lives. And from this energy, I now step into wood energy, which is new beginnings, growth, new foundations being built. I'm making clear and calm decisions in perfect timing. I'm stepping into this energy of transformation. And I'm so ready to receive whatever is next or something even better. And then just closing your eyes, taking a deep breath in and out, and just, if you can, if you're not driving, sitting here for a moment and just letting this all settle. Just taking a moment to breathe and receive and notice the shift that you're feeling in your mind, in your body. I always feel this like slight buzz. It's almost like sparkling water that's like been shaken a bit. It's not fizzing, but it's like, it's not flat. There's like some kind of fizz, some sparkle still there. And I would love for you now to, or let me rephrase that. I'd love to invite you now to bring in the energy of your beautiful business and ask your business. I'm going to ask you two questions to reflect back to your business. And the first is, or it might even be an offer, a specific offer that you want. You can totally choose. You're going to ask this, the energy of your business or your offer. What would you have me know? And just let that answer drop in. What would you have me know? And what would you have me do? and just let those answers land perfectly in your body, however they come through. No judgment. Take another deep breath in and out from that space. You can give your body like a little shake to shift state out of that back into this present moment. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready. And whatever came through, you can take a moment to just jot that down and just notice the shift after that. And then give yourself permission to just like integrate that, have some water after we do, a little balance like that, and to see what comes through from that space.
That was so powerful. Thank you so much for leading us through that.
Pleasure.
I love that. I love our whole conversation, and I'm
Same.
excited to hear what came up for you if you're listening to this. So please do drop into my DMs or Cassie's DMs and say hi, tell us what your takeaway is. And if they want to find out more about your work, where can they find you?
So my website is CassieMendoza-Jones.com. Same on Instagram. If the name is quite a long name, if you can't, you can just like type into Google Cassie Mendoza-Jones. I'll pop up. But Instagram and my website, and same on YouTube. My podcast is called Love What You Create. And you can always just DM me if you like, just to say hi. And yeah, as you said, just let us know like what came through. Um, and then what comes through like afterwards, because it's so cool, like a few days or a week later to be like, oh, I listened to that chat and then I did this and then this happened. Yeah.
I'll be linking everything below, so don't worry about
Oh yeah,
not knowing
spelling.
how to spell her names. So it's okay. Everything will be linked down below. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. I absolutely loved that chat. Thanks for having me.
Amazing.